Hey everybody, Randall Cornet here. Hope everybody's having a great day. I wanted to give you guys a special little treat today. We're going to do a follow-up interview with our new friend, Jim Savaldi, or you guys might know him as the BAM investor on Twitter. He's absolutely been blowing up on Twitter. I'm starting to see his posts come up on Reddit. I'm seeing them all over Facebook groups that I'm involved in. He's definitely spreading like wildfire. Last interview, we talked a little bit about his background, what it was like working with hedge funds, what some of his outlooks are on the market as a whole, how he's used his BAM model to predict other commodities in the past. And we talked a little bit about his history, kind of getting into, the financial field, the stock market specifically. I wanted to do another quick video. We're not going to take too much of your guys' time today. We're going to talk about specifically AMC, how his model is, what the model's data is kind of telling us, and what we can take away from that. So what I do have up is I pulled up on my screen that you guys can see here is one of Jim's most recent charts. So we're going to go ahead and just talk about this and let the data kind of tell us what we're looking at. So Jim, with that being said, go ahead and take it away. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, thanks for the invite. Great to be with you again, Randall. So this is the chart that I started to share a couple weeks back, and I think prior to when the model triggered the buy in AMC on I guess it was May 4th at the $9.19 level. And at that point, we started to share this on Twitter and track all the different upside, what we call retest levels, which just sort of give us, instead of talking about some of the highest numbers we could possibly talk about, the kind of the outliers, my approach is sort of a stair-step approach. Let's, if the risk reward is acceptable to belong the stock based on a retest of the 13 level, then okay, let's get involved. We attack the 13 level fairly quickly. It becomes vibration, and then we start to talk about the higher levels and the higher levels. The most important thing in my mind when I'm seeing all the talk back and forth about AMC's future prospects, and especially about the level of short positions that are involved in the stock, is that instead of this sort of is the stock going to go to 100,000 or is it going to go to zero? I think, and I said this in our last discussion, that according to my model at least, there's nothing I can see that would ever give me the impression that this is a stock that was headed to a penny or that was going to be going out of business. Actually, to the contrary, I told you I have obviously the zones of strength that are posted on this chart here, and we're basically have melted up toward this today's date. And then, we've got scattered zones of strength over the next 3-4 months, and then again into the first quarter of 2022, second quarter of 2022, and then out into 2024. So there's just nothing about this, the setup in my model that is anything other than bullish. As a matter of fact, pullbacks will create even more intense buy signals in my work.
Well, you know what? I heard you talk about that this morning when you were talking about in one of your previous videos, kind of like that trampoline effect, where it's like, we kind of get a little bit of that downward pressure. It kind of helps with the momentum that shoots us right back up, which is kind of what we've seen today.
Oh, exactly. So in the first video that I shared on Twitter, there was the stock had opened down, and the model was predicting a zone of strength into 7:00 a.m. my time, PST, and I had talked about the trampoline effect yesterday, and basically the stock price had done exactly that. It dropped down fairly sharply at the open, triggered the buy signal that then launched the stock through yesterday's highs into that 7:00 timestamp. And so in my work, I can have buy signals or sell signals set up in any of the different time frame fractals that I track: the monthly, weekly, daily, 618 minute, 420 minute, 240, 120, 60, 5 minute, 1 minute, 30 second, 15 second, 25 tick. All of those can have buy signals or sell signals built in, and just be waiting for price action to basically meet certain parameters to where it actually can be a good thing to have a pullback within an uptrend, and it can be a bad thing to have a bounce within a downtrend.
Very interesting. So looking at the model, I mean, it looks like a lot of, the model's predictions are pretty spot on. I'm curious to see. So when just for the guys that are new and haven't been familiar with you or your models, or because a lot of us have, it's almost like, I don't want to say cold, that's not the word, but like, people are understanding already like what, ZOW means, or zones of weakness, or zones of strength, ZOS. I mean, people are picking up the lingo, right? So just for the people that are new to this, we're looking, because I know that what the first thing, at least what my eyes are drawn to, is this big yellow line, right? And so we're looking at this, and basically your model says that at any point, if the prices go above this line, that's a possibility to trigger a melt up. Is what we've seen today what you would consider, your model consider, a melt up, or is this like something that's not that?
No, it's just to the eye. Even if you're not involved in the markets, that's almost straight up. So that particular chart I'm sharing with the public is a 60-minute bar chart. So every 60 minutes, every 1 hour of trading activity, it's reflecting the lowest low, the highest high, and then moving on to the next bar after the closing bar. So yeah, that's what a melt up would look like on reentry into one of my. It's called an expanding megaphone melt up fractal, actually. And so it's funny what you said about people starting to speak the language, because when I created this model, I was creating all of these different terms I use for myself. I never really needed to share this. When I started the service, because it was for focused on hedge funds, they didn't want to necessarily hear these types of words. They're more bottom line oriented. And so it was just, is it bullish? Is it bearish? Okay. Can I own it for this amount of time, that amount of time? Does it fall in line with their fundamental thesis, either up or down? But the crowd, the ape crowd that's embraced me here on Twitter over the past 2 weeks, they're really into it. And I have some conversations back and forth with them, and a few in DM, I guess, and then a lot where they'll comment within the string, and I'll take a little bit of time at night, after dinner or whatever, and talk to them, and they're definitely trying to learn. And it's really interesting how enthusiastic the crowd is, and how hungry they are to learn a little bit more about these tools I'm using. And so the nice thing is, although I can't talk about some of the proprietary elements of my model, I can help them get familiar with, the ZOS, instead of me having to write out zone of strength, or ZOW instead of zone of weakness. And I can tell them, what it means to have a retest level. And these retest levels are, this is the one word that if I had to go back in time, I would have named it something different, because in technical analysis, a retest level is basically, revisiting a price level, or something like that. And so that's not at all what my retest levels are. They're hidden retest levels that, people don't know how I'm generating those. So anyway, that's a little confusing, but it's really interesting to see how enthusiastic everybody is. And so I'm trying my best to share everything I can. I built a AMC page, standalone AMC page on the subscription site. And this is something I've never done. I mean, I've had covered the S&P bonds, the dollar, gold, silver, and crude oil for years. And so although I will share forecasts on individual stocks here and there with the high-end clients, I've never built a specific page for a single name. So it's been fun. It's a crazy ride.
I mean, like I said in the beginning of the video, I'm like blowing up faster than I am. I'm like, oh, I mean, it makes sense. It's because you're providing, information that is, it's top tier. So I can see why. But just looking at it, I know the community. I even seen some naysayers, and I don't even want to give them attention. But what I do want to bring attention to is the fact that it's like you got a group of bodyguards around you that are ready to, you know what I mean? Because
exactly.
At the end of the day, it's like we're all in here for a certain cause and what we think is going to happen. And it just, to me, and this is what I think I got the most value in, is that, hey, this is somebody that's been on the other side of the aisle. So to see that your outlook is encouraging, It means a whole lot to me, and I know it does to all the other apes as well. Without taking too much time, because I wanted to keep this short, so we'll round this out. I'm looking at this retest level at 32 that you have at some point in the future. Do you think that there's a potential that we race to that, closing out this week, next week, or what does the model predict for us looking like that, or is it too early to tell?
No, I mean we were on track to hit that number into my 12:30 timestamp today, and then that's when coincidentally all of my systems were hacked. Early in the day, I started to see a lot of activity, and hackers were coming after me personally in my office, and they had cut me off from being able to update the membership site. So I had no way to get into my admin area to upload charts, to make comments, to keep people up. So I immediately told people that on Twitter. I immediately started to just make videos and post them on Twitter that containing the same information I would have been providing to subscribers only on the back end of the site. So we were ready to go, and everything was moving. The velocity characteristics were phenomenal. And then they were hitting me for about 2-3 hours, and then they took our entire site down. They took our public-facing information site down, and they took the membership site completely down. I also, anyway, I won't go into it any further than that, but we were on schedule to hit that 32. We came very close to it today if you look at the session high. And, so whether or not we hit that first thing in the morning, we'll see. I just crunched the numbers, and my model is showing strength into 637. And then again into 7 o'clock my time here. So depending on what happens in the after hours, the stock could be trading down at the opening bell. But even if it is trading down at the opening bell, my model's saying that we'll head straight back up again. So it'll be interesting to see. There's definitely someone very powerful, that doesn't want me, sharing the information I'm sharing publicly, and so I've sort of crossed the Rubicon here, and
we got your back.
We got to have my back. Thank you, man. So far, so good. So far, so good. And by the way, if people want to try to understand why that yellow line is so significant and why you saw the price move start to go more parabolic once it re-entered, I'm going to share the details of the 1929 setup and crash. I'm going to share the details of the 87 setup and crash, and then you guys will instantly spot what's going on here, because this is just that entire fractal flipped upside down. It works the same way.
Well, perfect. That's actually a great segue into, I guess, my closing point was today, Jim and I put our heads together and we got him set up. I thought this was going to be beneficial for you guys, and I know he did too. We went ahead and got him set up with a YouTube account. So what I'm going to do, I'd like you guys to do after this video, obviously like and subscribe here, but following that, make sure so when you guys get when he starts posting this information, you guys can be the first ones to get it, to go and subscribe to his new channel. So for you guys that don't know what the channel is, it's brand new. I'm going to put the link in the description. Okay. So you guys make sure to go like and subscribe there. And then also he does do daily updates. And when I say daily, I mean constantly. You'll see updates flowing like water. You could check out his Twitter, which is at BAM Investor. I really appreciate you coming on and taking the time with me, Jim. I know you're a busy guy, so it's very much appreciated. With that being said, if you have any closing statements, you can say them now. If not, we'll close up the video.
I can just say off the top of my head, you saved me 10x the amount of time that this interview took by helping with this YouTube channel, because I'm definitely technology challenged. Believe it or not, I know how to work all here in my office, and there's computers everywhere, monitors everywhere. But when it comes to the YouTube and all the rest of this, thank you very much.
Oh man, I'm happy to help. Like I said, we're all in this together. Appreciate you coming on and taking the time to be here. Again, if you guys like it, the content, go ahead, like, subscribe, and make sure you guys subscribe also to Jim's new channel. With that being said, appreciate you guys. Love you long time. Peace.